entertainmentbuddha.com.
Dun da 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 dun da 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 wah 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 da 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 wah 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 da 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 wah 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 wah. And welcome back to a brand new episode of Star Wars Time. It is your Jedi wannabes, Matt and Nick, behind the mics, getting ready to deliver our sermon about all things Star Wars. This week we're kind of going to laser focus on a particular topic because, well, you'll probably be listening a few days from now, so it's actually going to be like last week, but whatever. This week that we're living in, recording in, is the launch week of Star Wars The Last Jedi on digital HD, digital UHD, you name it. You know, it's out there on Vudu, Amazon, Google Play, Prime Video, which is Amazon, I'm stupid, iTunes, you name it, Fandango Now. Get with Movies Anywhere, people, because you get a little special bonus. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Nick and I, of course, we talked about in prior casts what we're going to do. We were going to get the digital release, or we're going to wait for the disc. Hemmed and hawed. We decided to go for the digital, and after watching all of it, I've watched every bit it offers outside of the movie without commentary. So I've even watched the movie at least once. And I'm telling you, for $19 to get the UHD version on Vudu, it's a steal. I mean, that's just a teaser for everyone. That's a spoiler alert for our own podcast coming up. So we're going to talk about the home release of The Last Jedi, what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, and what you can expect from it. Because I really do think, especially the digital HD version at $20, especially if you have 4K equipment, is a value buy for all the stuff you get packed in this offering, right, Nick? So,
oh yeah,
you know, you did it too. We bit the bullet. We're bucking tradition. We didn't get physical copies yet. I actually, now that I have the digital, know that it's loaded with all the bonus content. I really have no reason to want this digital release coming out March 27th.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about, you know, what if the digital doesn't come with all the special features? Is it worth it if we're just getting the movie and then we have to buy the disc to get all the cool shit? Well, good news, people. You don't have to. Like Matt said, everything is there, and I really doubt that they're going to have some sort of like disc edition only, at least for this release.
I mean,
that has like a special
if it's
thing on
anything, it might be like a Best Buy exclusive Nicky Knack featurette, you know?
Yeah, something super small, but you're right. I mean, this thing is really packed with content. You have the deleted scenes. You have the deleted scenes with commentary. You have featurettes on both the Force and on the crate battle. You have the entire documentary, like making of, which is called The Director of the Jedi.
It's a feature length. I mean, it's an hour and a half plus, and it's a legit documentary. It is. I mean, I want to talk about it in length a bit here down the road, but I mean, that in itself. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, the gold standard of bonus content is what Peter Jackson did with both Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It doesn't get any better than what that man did with his productions of those trilogies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you watched like all the appendices of the Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
I've watched a ton of the Lord of the Rings bonus content because I do have like that crazy Blu-ray collection.
It's insane,
like
dude. I'm talking
yeah.
like 10 hours per disc of content. I mean, they made hundreds of hours of behind-the-scenes shit, and it was fantastic. I mean, I sometimes go back and rewatch the behind-the-scenes on Lord of the Rings because it's so nostalgic to just see how they created that epic trilogy. And I do think The Last Jedi, with this documentary and all of the stuff Nick talked about, I mean, it probably approaches 3 hours worth of bonus content, but it's quality content in the same vein of what Peter Jackson was putting out in terms of really getting insights from Johnson and his team into what went into making this movie.
Yeah, I was really interested to see those smaller, actually the smaller ones. I really wish they were longer because, I mean, the two that we were talking about earlier, the the one about the Force and then also the one about the crate battle, I mean, they're only about 10 to 12 minutes each, but I mean, there's definitely room to expand on those. And just listening,
while we're talking about, let's just kind of get into talking. Let's not worry about the deleted scenes. I mean, I think we agree that we like that they're included, but let's kind of talk about the featurettes and ones that we liked or ones that you didn't like. I mean, we have the Balance of the Force. I'll kind of talk about the long one because I know you didn't get to check it out, and then we had the crate one. So go ahead and carry on with the Force one because I thought that one was fantastic. Yeah,
me too. As somebody who has expressed some displeasure about the movie and stuff, that documentary was actually, or that small featurette was actually really enlightening to see what was in Ryan's mind when he decided to write the story of the Force the way he did in The Last Jedi. And it really did kind of make me take a second look at how things are portrayed in the film, and then maybe rethink my opinions a little bit based off of his creative vision. And it was really cool to see that he really wanted to make the Force this he didn't want it to seem like it had this superhero type of quality. That's what he said in the piece. He said he didn't want it to feel like the Force was like a superpower. It was more of something that is, that everybody has the ability to feel and to interact with if you can seek it and you can really find it within yourself. And I really thought that was great. And then, he went further to talk a little bit about, why he made the decisions with Rey around, the conversation with Kylo, him choosing to use her weak spot, which is her family lineage, and really kind of use that as like a needle point to kind of stick into her and say hey, this is what would probably hurt you the most. And then also kind of, wrapping up the entire thing by going back to the little boy with the broom and showing how that is, that he really wanted to use that, especially in that moment, to show that it's an attainable thing. And I do appreciate that, a little bit more after watching the featurette for sure. And I feel like just being able to listen to him speak through it. And the good thing about Ryan is he never seems like he's arrogant or anything like that when he's in any of these featurette pieces. He just seems like he's a genuine fanboy who is getting to live out his dream.
The Bounce of the Force featurette that Nick's talking about, I mean, he does go into detail. I mean, it's only 10, 12 minutes long, but he really kind of lays it on the line in terms of listen, I wrote the movie. This is how I thought it should go based on what I was given. And I mean, I really enjoyed The Last Jedi from the get-go. I didn't have many issues at all with it. But this featurette in particular, I think, people like Nick that, clearly he didn't hate it. I like to make fun of him and poke at him, but it's all in good fun. But, people that didn't hate it, I would think that these little deals, especially this Balance of the Force, would be enlightening. At least maybe it's his chance to really express this is just how I believe it should have went. This is how I think, based on what I was given, this is the best way it could have gone, and it just made sense to me. I mean, he owns all of his decisions, which you got to give him credit for, because he did take a lot of risk. I mean, look what happened. There is the internet makes it seem like it was a majority, but really a lot of the backlash, it was a vocal minority at best. But it gets its time in the spotlight because it is a major Star Wars movie, and there were people saying horrible things about it, and people were never used to that. I mean, again, we've talked about before, there was no internet as it is today back in 99 when the prequels started coming out, because you're for damn sure, especially older fans, would have been saying a lot of the same shit about George Lucas and his ideas for the prequels. So Bounce of the Force is great. One thing Nick didn't touch on because he hates this character and Rian Johnson is there's a great 1 minute 27 second clip, and Lucasfilm actually released it today on YouTube. It's very important because it specifically talks about Ryan's thoughts around Luke and why he wrote the character of Luke the way Luke is, which to a lot of people, Nick included, was one of the things that kind of rubbed them the wrong way. And I just liked kind of hearing it from Ryan, him really explaining it. Now, I don't think it's going to change anyone's minds. I mean, Nick's already said, like, hey, it was cool to hear it. I still didn't see it, and you know, that's Nick's opinion. But I did like hearing Ryan really break down why he wrote Luke the way he did. I mean, he basically said, I had to figure out a way why this character was hiding on this island, and it wasn't because he was just hiding and he was a coward. He's like, there's no way that's Luke. And he essentially said Luke came to the decision that him being hidden away and ignoring the requests of his friends and family to help was really the best thing to do, because if he truly brought the Jedi back into the picture, the Jedi are just as big of a problem in the galaxy as the Sith and everything else, and it would just regenerate the cycle of shit, essentially. So yeah. Luke, even though he wanted to go and help, took on the burden of essentially suffering and not helping his friends because he genuinely believed deep down that the Jedi were not the way to return the light to the galaxy.
See, I really love the explanation that he gave in the piece, in the featurette.
Well, because it does sound more like Luke, right? I mean, he is... And I also like that Ryan called back, like, he was able to do what he wasn't able to do in Empire, where he shouldn't have went after Han and Leia. But he did, because that was that Luke then, and now this is this Luke now, knowing what he knows about the Jedi. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to make shit worse.
Yeah, see, like, I really do love that description of it. I just feel like it could have been portrayed a little bit better in the film, and there's one deleted scene in particular that I think if it was used in the film, it would have really, that message would have resonated more than what I feel like came across in the movie for Luke's character.
Did you, the first time you saw it, did you ever feel like he was just going to show up and help? Or did you get the message like, Luke fucking abandoned them and I may not see him again in this movie?
Well, I guess the first time that I was watching it, I was waiting for him to, like, finally come around. And, like, because I was waiting, I was like, okay, well.
Right. So even when you didn't see that manifest, did you still feel like, okay, there's a little more time left, I could see it still happening, that could happen here?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kind of counting down. I was like, okay. I'm like, we're getting towards the end of the movie, and like,
see, I guess there's definitely times I was like, wow, this is gonna be when he says something, or this is gonna be when, and then he's like, okay, Rey left, all right, well, he's definitely gonna show up at Crate and like blast motherfuckers with his X-wing, and it's like, okay, and then but I always kind of felt like he was gonna show up regardless.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely showed up, and like Ryan said in the piece, like, he didn't want it to be like a violent end.
Right, he also, he said unlike Han's death, that was, he went out horribly at the hands of Kylo Ren. He didn't want to give Kylo that kill for Luke, but he also said it was sort of a winning death, where Luke essentially got a win against the First Order by finally, becoming the Luke that the galaxy wants him to be, which then spreads throughout, which then leads to little kids playing with ghetto-ass Luke action figures and, gorilla AT-ATs.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Fathier barn.
Yeah, so I think he did accomplish some things that he wanted to with Luke Skywalker. Like, he legitimately accomplished, like, making him that force within the galaxy again after his death happened. And regardless of what I think about the portrayal of Luke on the island, I think the way that fight went down with Kylo, and every time I watch that fight, going forward, it still excites me, even though I know that it's a forced projection, because there is a lot of significance in it, and there's a lot that can be learned by both Kylo and, eventually when Rey finds out what happened, like, she's gonna, like, there's a lot to be learned from his sacrifice there. So while I do think that his redemption moment was delayed too long. Well, I mean, not even a redemption moment, but like his turning around period was delayed too long. I do like how it ended for him, and I do like how it wasn't this violent death like you mentioned with Han or even with Vader, where they both kind of just like they were just beaten. Like Vader was beaten within an inch of his life and literally couldn't survive, and then Han just took the lightsaber right in the gut.
I mean, he went out like Obi. He died on his own terms, really, same as Yoda.
Yeah. So I do like that part of Luke. The only thing that I wish was different is that like he was just that there was more to see of Ryan's vision of Luke being this, intentionally secluded Jedi who wants to go back. That was the thing that he said that really I couldn't find in the characters that like he wanted to go back. Like he wants to go back, but he just knew he's like, if I go back, then it's all going to fall apart. And I never saw that in the character. Like I saw somebody who definitely wanted to be exiled. Like he wanted to be there, and more than anything, he seemed like he was an angry old codger and not this hero, this sequestered hero who's crestfallen and felt
I don't know. I just see the way I interpret it. I always felt like Rey did get through to him around that lesson too, and it just we didn't quite get to see him just come out and say aha. I mean, we kind of get that with the Yoda moment. I mean, I think it's pretty much unsaid that that's when Luke finally realizes what he has to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So while we're talking about Luke, we might as well talk about the feature-length documentary, because this is just how I took it. And we're not going to talk long about it because Nick hasn't seen it, and I want him to see it because, I think someone like him will really enjoy it and may get something out of it. But the intriguing thing about the documentary, first and foremost, is that it's called The Director and the Jedi. So you got to keep that in mind when you watch it. Because on its front-facing skin, its facade, it's a behind-the-scenes look at how the movie was made. I mean, literally from start to finish. So it's awesome. You get all that shit. You get behind the scenes, you get some audition stuff, you get set building stuff, you get previs, you get the photography, setups. I mean, you get insights into Ryan and the script, this, that, and the other thing. It's fantastic. But sprinkled throughout it, so at its core, though, if you remember the title, Director and the Jedi, and if you understand, which I think a lot of Star Wars fans do, the way Hamill kind of took the direction of Luke. I mean, he was on record saying he did not agree with Ryan whatsoever. And that's kind of what this documentary is all about. And I do think the title was chosen on purpose because, like I said, front-facing, sure, it's behind-the-scenes documentary. But at its core, the way it flows, its arcs, from start to middle to finish, there are poignant moments between Ryan and Mark that are shown. And you could see, they showed at the beginning, like, how upset Mark Hamill was with Ryan's choices for Luke. I mean, it was so evident. They didn't hate each other, but you'd tell Mark just wanted nothing to do with this type of Luke. But Mark, being Mark, the pro that he is, he basically said, hey, I'll give you my best. And they have them on camera saying this. Mark says, listen, I'll give it my all. And if it's great, hey, it's all on Ryan. If it's bad, it's all on Ryan too. I mean, he literally said that when they were filmed this documentary. So, I mean, Hamill fucking hated it. But the way this documentary is shot, again, remember the title, Director and the Jedi. So you get this contentious relationship, but then you start to see them working together, and you see Mark work and Ryan direct them, and then you kind of hear the tune starting to change. And then by the end, you do get Hamill essentially saying, like, you know what? And I honestly think there's a clip at the end that Mark probably requested get added in post haste. Because I think they filmed a lot of this, obviously, before the movie came out. Because I'm telling you, almost every clip of Hamill is, I fucking hate Luke in this movie. Dude, you'll love it. I mean, you'll be sitting there like, yeah, I did too. Fuck this movie. Fuck Johnson. But that is why this documentary is so beautiful. Because not only do you get this awesome insider's look at how the movie was made, and I don't know about you, Nick, but I love that shit. I mean, that's why I loved when DVDs came around and we started getting these bonus items. I love cinematography, filmmaking. I just love the behind the scenes. But you get this awesome kind of inside story of really the relationship of Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill. And I think it's to this day why these guys are traveling circuits now talking about the movie still together. I mean, there's no other cast members going to South by Southwest with Johnson to talk about the movie, right? I mean...
No, that was it. It was just Mark.
It's like this documentary almost shows how, because of their disagreements and then working together, that they have this almost love and respect for each other now at the end, and that's why, you know, you definitely got to check it out this weekend, dude. But just another awesome item on the home release of The Last Jedi, my friends. I'm telling you, this one it's almost as good as the movie, because it is a professionally done feature-length documentary about the making of the movie, but it has that core focus on the dynamics of Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill and the tragedy of Luke Skywalker.
You see, it's so weird because I loved The Force Awakens. I mean, we've talked about this on other podcasts before, but The Force Awakens it's going to be an experience like I'll never have again in a movie theater, just because of how we are. I mean,
of course,
ravenous Star Wars fans. And then the content of the movie was...
It was safe as could be. I mean, I love it too. I definitely, when I came out of Force Awakens, I was like, wow. It was like, you know, but it's like you said, it was just that euphoric new feel of, hey, Star Wars is back, and guess what? It's brand new, and it's a different era, with new characters, this, that, and the other thing. But it was a very safe film. I mean, it got criticized heavily for being A New Hope, and it is. But I loved it for that. But he really didn't take any risks outside of killing Han, and I think that was a given, because that's the only way he was getting Harrison Ford back.
Yeah. So after I saw The Force Awakens, I'm always hyped for Blu-ray releases, DVD releases, you know, home videos. Pretty fucking great. You can watch it whenever you want. But I didn't have the desire to watch like the feature-length doc right away that was included with The Force Awakens, because everything I wanted was there in the movie. Like everything that I wanted to see was there and more. I mean, it was fantastic. I felt fulfilled. And with The Last Jedi, since I was one of the people who did kind of have some reservations and some issues with it, it's actually made me really want to dive into that documentary even more, because like you said, that relationship building, you know, between Mark and Ryan, and seeing how those two work together, and then also, I mean, even outside of that, just seeing all of the interesting behind the scenes stuff, and listening to the actors and the you know, the set workers.
You'll love it, dude. It's fantastic. And I like watching this shit regardless if I love a movie or not, just because I love the art of making a movie. I think it's just insane, the machine that goes into making one of these movies. But I just, this one in particular definitely had some great insights into a very contentious direction of a popular character that kind of ruffled people's feathers. So I think that just kind of adds to the allure of this particular documentary on this home release. So good stuff. Yeah. I mean, the other feature at the crate one, I mean, it's to me, that was standard bonus material fare. I mean, nothing too enlightening.
No, it definitely didn't have that special feeling like Balance of the Force did, or you know, like, I haven't seen it yet, but like we were talking about with the feature-length doc, there was some cool stuff in it. Like Ryan, we get to find out what the material on crate was made of. We get to find out, you know, like, that this was one of his early visions.
All the red stuff in the explosions was what, shredded paper? Yep,
shredded paper dyed red. So they said they tried, I mean, like, they showed screen tests that they were doing for other materials. They tried, like those rubber pellets that are in the fake turf for the football fields that come up when people drag their feet. They had a bunch of those because they were red, didn't look right. And then, like, they tried a bunch of other materials, and Ryan ended up settling on he didn't settle on it. He just thought that the paper dyed red looked the best. And then there were also some other things in there about, like, specifically that they showed the previs with the speeders and the also the sound design for, like you call them, the gorilla walkers, how they mixed the old school Imperial AT-AT sound with some other, more modern sounds. And then also apparently, like, one of the key components in the sound of those walkers is like a distorted lion's roar, which I thought was pretty fucking cool. So yeah, there was a lot in there, and there was also some pieces towards the end of that one on the battle between Kylo and Luke in that on Crate. And then Ryan also points out a lot of the things that they did with Luke, since he's a Force projection, that maybe you didn't catch in the theaters the first time you saw it, maybe you still can catch it now. Like, some of the things he mentions is like the ashen material that falls from the sky during the battle does not interact with Luke in any way.
He goes. So I watched the movie with the commentary, and he goes in detail during this exchange about. He just says this over and over. He's like, I wanted to make it fair. I wanted to make it fair. Basically, saying that anything that could tip off Luke, he made sure it was very noticeable for the fans. Like, he wasn't trying to, while he was trying to trick us all, he pretty much made it obvious, if we were paying attention, that was not a real body.
Yeah, but I like what one of the special effects producers said, and he said, while there were all of those things in there, people still watch it and don't notice it because they're so enthralled by the fight that's happening. So even though, like, both of us had said,
I didn't.
First time we watched it, like,
first time I
knew.
saw it, I had no fucking clue.
Yeah, like, the most obvious thing is his foot drag. And they show it close up, but still, like,
right,
so
dude, they do
moment.
it right after they clearly show what happens when Kylo slides his foot. It's so telegraphed. That's what Ryan said. He's like, look, basically we did that, and then here you go. He's like I said, I wanted to make it fair. I was thinking it's funny he kept saying that, like he owes us something.
No, he did it in such a fantastic way because, even us, like, the most hardcore of hardcore fans, like, we're sitting there, we're watching, we're fucking eating everything up, and then, like, when the moment comes when Kylo strikes through and Luke turns around, we all had that, oh shit, like, it was just that moment. And the way that it was shot was fantastic. He even referenced an old painting that Ralph McQuarrie had done for, like, what he wanted the initial scene set up to look like. It was like a probe droid that was hanging out, and it had this kind of burnt orange and purple kind of background behind it. And he's like, I want the scene set up to look like this, except with Luke and Kylo as the main focus. So it was such a cool, like, that part of the Crate feature in particular was really cool. I thought it was pretty awesome to see how all that came together.
The battle stuff, it's like whatever. It's neat. It's a huge undertaking. CGI, practical mix. I like the character type of stuff. That's why the one featurette that I really enjoyed, just because I'm a homer, this guy, but the Live with Andy Serkis, where they essentially replay the Snoke throne room scene with Serkis and not Snoke as Snoke.
Yeah.
So you get to see kind of Serkis doing his performance without the CG effects applied to the character.
I loved it because his body, like, the way that he was sitting, like, you could, if you're not familiar with, motion capture, special effects and stuff like that, like, you could watch that movie and just think that, his posture and his movements
that's all
were all
him.
Kind of
they just reskinned him with a taller frame.
Yep, that was all Andy, and, like, getting to see him do that, like you said, outside of
because that entire set, by the way, is practical. The Snoke throne room, there's not a digital thing in there except the screen part, but actually the frame of the screen, that's all real too. So that curtain, that's all real. All that shit's real. So they actually built on the set the whole motion capture rig so Andy could be on set and shoot with Adam and everybody.
Yeah, that one was really cool to see. even down to like him catching the lightsaber, I thought was pretty fantastic. Like when he pulls the lightsaber to him, he actually catches it in his hand.
Oh yeah, I mean it was the scene spot on, and that's what they call it. I mean, it's essentially Ryan does a little intro, but it's the throne room scene right when Kylo and Rey walk in, all the way through when they chop him in half.
Yeah, you even get to see like the genuine circus reaction of the lightsaber like, going through. I mean, that one was fun. It was only like 5 minutes because it was just like you said, it was just replaying the scene, but it was really well done, and like you get to see Circus and his element, what he does.
I mean, it's a shame that there's not an award category for what he does, or that they just haven't thrown him a bone yet, because the guy is brilliant. I mean, he is the grandfather of motion acting, like motion actors. I mean, you want to call whatever his name was, Ahmad Best, who didn't he do Jar Jar? I mean,
yeah.
Nah, I mean, it's not the same.
No, I mean, there's a difference between being the first person to do it and then being the first person to perfect it. Like,
and yeah, I'm not blaming it on Best. I mean, he, again, had to work with what he was given. He was given a horrible character and a suspect type of narrative, where Andy kind of made his name playing a time-honored historic fantasy character in Gollum in a fantastic production with CG that was even better than what we got in 99 with Jar Jar. So I mean, he definitely had an edge, but the guy, if you just even watched him work back then, I mean, you could tell that this dude understood that if we ever want these CG characters to feel real, we have to act them out. 100%, everything, moves, face, everything.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps though that Andy is just a fantastic actor on top of it.
Shit.
I mean, in Black Panther, he was incredible.
I was going to say, he's one of the best minor characters in Black Panther.
Yeah,
he's out of control. I mean, he's hilarious in that movie.
Yeah, so the guy is a legend, and like you said, I hope he gets something. Because, I mean, I think he's a shoo-in for, like, what would be considered a Lifetime Achievement Award, whenever that time in his life rolls around. But I think you're right. I mean, if you think about what the scope of motion capture has become, especially outside of the realm of just movies, I mean, video game productions, a lot of these huge, massive budget games all do their
Star Wars
their
Battlefront 2. I mean, the girl that played Iden Versio is a real actress. That's exactly what she looks like, and she was scanned in and performed most of her moves.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to like PS3, Xbox 360 generation with The Last of Us, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson did full mocap for Ellie and oh god, I can't believe it. I'm forgetting Joel. I thought I was going to forget his name, but Ellie and Joel were fully motion captured by Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson on the set. And I mean, now it's almost become like an expected thing for these really high budget games to have the actors who are, portraying these characters actually do the motion acting with the mocap suits and the dots on the faces and the whole nine yards.
I mean, there's one every year in Call of Duty now. I mean, fucking Jon Snow did it.
Yep.
Kevin Spacey did it. Who was in this one? What's his name? Josh Duhamel, I think, was in World War II.
Yeah, so it's just become what it has now because of the success that Andy saw with it in the early days and what he made it. Like it's 100%. I mean, I love that guy, and I really hope to see him. Yeah, like you said, get his due because he really does deserve it.
So that's a nice little bonus you get. And then really the other ones before we get into deleted scenes, because we're going to have an extended talk on that. I mean, the audio commentary with the feature movie is great. It's just Ryan by himself, and he literally talks the whole time. There are times where he's kind of talking about shit that I would rather him not talk about, but it is what it is. But you definitely get some insights into his narrative decisions as well as things to look for. I mean, there's something going around viral right now where he points out that Laura Dern literally could not shoot her pistol on set without saying pew pew.
Yeah.
And even in the movie now, you can literally see her mouth pew as she shoots through the smoke when they're kind of breaking through into Poe. So you get some of stuff like that, but There's also another bonus, and this we found out through Ryan himself, and the reason I got tipped off is because Nick actually liked the tweet, and it popped up on my Twitter.
Yeah, and that was the...
if you get the movie on digital HD or when you get it on disc and you redeem your digital version, as long as you redeem it with someone that's a part of Movies Anywhere, which is a lot of the big names now, which is awesome. This is a great service. Everyone should be using it. Basically, if you link your Vudu, iTunes, Prime Video, Google Play, what else is on there? And Fandango Now, I believe, are the 5. They will sync your libraries to all the platforms, so you're always going to have your digital movies, regardless if you're on Vudu, iTunes, this, that, or the other thing. There's a few studios that don't do it, but either way, if you do it with The Last Jedi and you make sure to link yourself to Movies Anywhere, you will also get the feature film with just John Williams' score, which is exactly what you would think it would be. I mean, it's a silent version of Star Wars. So if you ever just feel like listening to music but kind of seeing maybe where John's thoughts came from for some of his musical themes, this is it. So I thought that was a pretty cool little bonus, even though you had to jump through a little bit of a hoop to get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just bought it directly from Vudu. I didn't go through Movies Anywhere.
You don't have to. No, just if you don't have Movies Anywhere, which you should anyways, sign up and link your Vudu account, and then you'll get it.
Oh, okay. So, I didn't know if it was
You'll
like
only be able to view that bonus feature
on
from Movies Anywhere,
okay.
But Movies Anywhere, think of it, it's like the hub.
Yeah.
It just really collects your digital library from all those other platforms. But you can also watch your library from within its own app.
Yeah. So I'll go do that now. I didn't know if it was if you could do it post-purchase, but knowing that you can.
Yeah, it's really just as long as you link your whatever digital retailer account with Movies Anywhere. Yeah, I mean, the hook is getting Movies Anywhere and getting people registered.
Yeah, which is pretty fucking nice hook, honestly, because like we talked about on previous casts.
I've never even heard of that before. I think a ton of movies would benefit from something like that.
Yeah, I mean, something cool.
I mean, any Chris Nolan movie with Hans Zimmer, I mean, I would take.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with John Williams, though, because, I mean, we know he's coming down to the end. Like, Episode 9 is more than likely going to be his last movie, so to have a full-length feature film in a way where you can watch it that is only his score is pretty fucking cool. Like, it's definitely a good move. Well, on Disney's part, because they had to do it. Like, they're the ones who made it for Movies Anywhere, and then on, Movies Anywhere's part for requesting that.
That's what I'm telling you.
Feature.
I mean, if you're not a part of this, dude, you got to get in it. It's just for the convenience alone. Like, it'll literally look at your iTunes library, look at your Vudu, look at your Amazon, and be like, okay, well, he owns this one on this one. Now he owns it on iTunes. So you kind of get the rub with iTunes. I mean, if you have the new 4K Apple TV, let's say I owned a bunch of old movies on Vudu that weren't on iTunes. Well, now they're on iTunes, and I get the 4K bump for free. I mean, it's insane. I mean, my iTunes library went from 150 to like 230 just by doing this Movies Anywhere shit.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Well, everyone knows what I'm talking about. I mean, there was a day when it was like, okay, is it Ultraviolet? Is it on Fandango? Is it on, this fucking Flickster deal? Well, no, some of my movies are in iTunes, or some of them are over here because they didn't have an iTunes copy. This fucking fixes all that shit. Even now, like, if I buy something on iTunes because it was cheaper than what it was on Vudu, I still get it on Vudu.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking sick. So I'm literally going to do that as soon as we fucking turn the podcast off.
Anyone out there, if you're getting the movie, buy it on Vudu. Buy the UHD version. For some reason, iTunes is not offering a 4K HDR version of The Last Jedi. So what you want to do, because if they ever do, you want to buy it on Vudu for $20 UHD. It'll show up in your iTunes, the HD version will, and if Apple ever upgrades it, you're going to get the upgrade.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking sick. It's like unbeatable. You really can't ask for more than that.
Nah,
Jesus.
dude. I mean, I just got Blade Runner 2048 for $9 last week on Vudu. I think it was like a fuck up on their part, but I got the UHD version for $9. I now have it the 4K HDR version on Apple TV. I mean, it's all because of Movies Anywhere. Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, you're not paying shit. It's just an aggregator.
Yeah. So get on it, people. Including myself.
I even have a how-to article on entertainmentbuddha.com. Just look it up.
There we go.
All right, so let's move on, Nick, to really, which a lot of times, let's face it, when people are looking forward to bonus content on home releases, it's usually deleted scenes because they want to see like what the movie could have been or what was missing from the final product. And we know that we are getting 14 deleted scenes from The Last Jedi's home release. And after seeing them all, I can say some of them definitely wouldn't have enhanced the movie. Some would have been nice to see, but really understood why they got cut. And there's probably one, there's guaranteed one, maybe two, that probably would have made the movie even better than it was if they're in there. So that's how we're going to tackle this little subject. We're going to talk about the one or two scenes that we think should have been kept in because they would have made the movie even better. Then we're going to talk about scenes that we would have liked to have seen in there, but we understood why they're cut. And then, time permitting, or if we even have any scenes we were glad that were cut. Nick, so let's start with yours. I don't know if you have. How many scenes would you say do you feel should have been left in and would have made the movie better?
Honestly, I really think like one.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm with you
one
too. I
sure.
was torn between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So let's just go with the 1. I'll mention my 2 if it's different than what your 1 is.
Okay. So my 1, and I referenced it when we were talking earlier, is there's a deleted scene that's just called Luke Mourns Han, and it's after Luke interacts with Rey and Chewie, they're on the mountain, on the cliffside, and then you see him like walk back to his hut, and then this is already after Chewie had kind of kicked his door down, so he kind of puts the door back in, and then you just see him sit at the table and cry, and that's something that I really feel like that being in there would have been a moment that really drove home that message that Ryan wanted to portray with that character, that he is this hero still. He still wants to be the hero, but he's too afraid to go back out.
I can see your point on that. I can see your point. That wasn't my scene, though. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't go for the other one.
So what was yours?
I honestly think the full Caretaker's Village scene was really good.
I liked it, but yeah, I don't know if I
it definitely would have given people a different opinion of Luke, I think, because he kind of comes off like a trickster. He kind of comes off like a little dick.
Yeah, but that's why I don't want it, because it almost, to me, that makes him worse than he already was. Not in terms of the acting or anything like that, but like his character and then the message that Ryan's trying to get across with him. I feel like that this scene in particular is so disconnected from that if it was in there, it would almost be like, what the fuck is this dude doing? Like, if he really is this hero.
Now again, I love your reaction too, because at the end when Rey says to him like, "Yo, you're fucking around and we got our friends dying," I think that was a dagger at Luke, and I think that's when he then goes up and reopens himself to the Force, which we do see in the movie, and reaches out to Leia. And so I that's why I thought it would have been nice to have in there, because it would have shown that, all right, Luke finally understands, like, okay, this girl's not fucking around. Like, she's going to help these people whether I go or not. Maybe I should open myself back up to the Force and slightly consider something.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he sees her with Kylo, and then he's shaken again, and they have their little spat, and Rey's like, all right, you helping me or not? No. And she's out, and then Luke wants to burn the tree, doesn't want to burn the tree, and Yoda basically says, quit being a dope, this is what masters do, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. The end of it is definitely good. Yeah.
The other one, I don't know. I mean, I guess I have to... No, I'll say it. Fuck it. I like the extended Finn, Rose, and DJ incursion.
I actually, that was one of the ones that I really enjoyed,
but
too.
I guess I do understand for pacing at that point in the movie why they cut it, but I really enjoyed it. I even liked the little, kind of the comedy scene in the elevator with the stormtrooper.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. And I also feel like it gives I mean, maybe they took it out because they felt like it gave away that they were caught, because like that officer who spotted them was like clearly going after them. Like he knew they weren't supposed to be there. The black BB droid had noticed them as well. So I mean, they had people on their tail. So maybe Ryan wanted to hold the reveal that they were caught until like the very last moment.
They purely cut it for pacing.
For pacing? Okay. Well, if that's the case,
because
then
he's like, dude, he said, I actually had them build that entire set. He's like, it's a huge, essentially first order Office Space set.
Yeah.
But they just, because of pacing, they had to snip it. It makes sense if you think about when that would have showed up in the movie. It would have been like, okay, well,
yeah,
we're actually really getting into the fucking climax here, build up. So let's go. Yeah. So I mean, there you go. I mean, those are kind of 3 different scenes, which I'm glad Nick had different ones than I picked. But so I guess scenes that you would have been cool to see in there, and you thought they would have made sense, but you're all right that they're gone. What's your first one of those?
I liked the scene with BB-8 and Finn, where Finn's just kind of sitting there.
That one too.
Yeah, like he's just holding the hollow beacon. And then BB-8 kind of rolls up. Finn literally just doesn't say anything until BB-8 starts to play the goodbye that Rey gives to him before she goes off to look for Luke on Acto. And it's just kind of one of those moments, those poignant moments that really kind of drives Finn again towards like, I need to get out of here and I need to go find this girl. It was a very touching moment. I mean, definitely trying to harken back to the holo recording with Obi-Wan Kenobi, seeing the Princess Leia one, stuff like that.
Then at the end, Finn's like, yo, you're a creep for recording that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was cool. I did like, as weird as it was, I did kind of like the scene where one of the caretakers really eyes down Rey after she shoots through the door. Through the hut.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny because there is a lot of interactions with Rey, unintentional interactions with Rey and the caretakers, and it kind of does flow along because the scene continues into like when they're walking up the stairs and Rey's like, I don't think they like me, and that's when Luke says, I can't figure out why.
Well, yeah, I mean that made it in the movie. It just wasn't the extended stare down. And then of course the Rey caretaker village scene, if they would have put that in, that would have been like the final payoff, because she fucks up their door and essentially barges in on their rave with her big-ass glow stick waving around.
I did think, that scene was pretty funny, too, where, like, she's standing there for a while, and then one of the caretakers, like, shakes her little thing, and then Rey's like...
Rey moves her saber, and they're all like, yeah! See, I really like that scene. It kind of reminded me a bit of Jedi with the Ewoks. I know people hate them, but I like all the fucking alien creatures. Fuck it, it's Star Wars.
I thought it was cool too.
All right, one for me, honestly, dude. I like the alternate opening. I if anything, I thought it was kind of crafty as fuck. What he originally planned with the pan down, and it was it looks like a planet, but it was actually the dome of Finn's bacta tank.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool, and then also being able to see the entire kind of escape of the rebel forces.
Like so basically how it would have played
the
out.
Lens of
it
like
would have
Finn.
Literally started. As the crawl ended, it was scrolled down, looked like a planet. It's Finn. He wakes up. He runs out. He's leaking. But then he runs back and looks out a window and realizes, like, oh, shit. I'm on this, big-ass Resistance Star Cruiser, and we're getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah. So those, I liked it, but I don't know if I would like to see it in there. But it was cool to see. It was cool to see like an alternate vision for that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that's,
I'm fine that it didn't make it, because as Ryan said, the reason it didn't make it is, again, they just wanted to get right to it. Okay, what are the stakes? Here are the bad guys. They're coming. Oh shit! Here's the big ship. Here we go.
Yeah, then that makes sense. All right. So what was the third one? Stuff that we're that.
No,
I'm
not.
cool.
I'm not done with my.
Okay,
I liked. I also liked the. I'm not much of a sewer, where Finn and Poe and Poe gives him the jacket.
Yeah. That was another character building.
It was just a
moment
cool little scene. The Rey, the cut Rey one at Crate, where they're flying around in the Falcon, and it's right when all the First Order are just wailing on Luke, and she's like, maybe we should go around back, and they just, flip the Falcon around and turn around. I thought it was kind of a cheeky little.
Yeah. One other one that I liked was when Rose bites Hux when she's they're captured.
Literally bites his finger.
Yeah, just bites his finger because
he's messing with her chain.
Yeah, it shows her tenacity that she's still like, even though she's at death's door pretty much for all she knows, she's still like, look, I'm gonna take every little bit I can out of you fuckers, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess unless you have any more, then the last category are ones that we're glad were not in the movie at all.
Okay, so the ones that the one for sure that I'm glad wasn't in the movie at all was the extended Fathier scene.
Yeah, dude, that I literally my note said, "Thank God Fathier chase cut down."
Yeah, because
they show the whole damn thing, and it feels like half the movie.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm like, holy fuck! You really had all this shit out for that?
Oh,
like,
dude, how long would you say it is? It's probably what 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
It was easily 5 minutes because I was watching. Like, I looked at the length of time for all of the deleted scenes. It was only like 25 minutes, right under 25 minutes.
Right.
And I'm watching this Fathier scene. I'm like, is this shit still going on? This is insane. Like. It was, they had fucking people running on roofs. They had them
running into massage dens and steam parlors.
Yeah, it was insane. But, so yeah, I'm really glad that shit didn't make it in. The Canto Bite B-roll, I don't even know if that was a scene that they planned on putting in more than
stupid,
just like...
because I don't know if you watch the scenes with his commentary or if you just watch the scenes, but I'll watch both because I'm insane. But yeah, that was literally just B-roll just because of how many extras and the detail in the set and the costumes. He just wanted people to see it all.
Yeah. It looked cool for sure. Like, the amount of effort that was put into building those costumes.
It was kind of a chintzy deleted scene, though. It really wasn't. It was just, like Nick said, it was a B-roll of look at all this shit we had on this set that you probably didn't see because we cut most of it out.
Oh, one thing that I did, this is one that we talked about before, though, but one thing that I think I would have liked to see in the movie was the Phasma Finn scene kind of played out in a different way, because it actually takes place, like, it's a follow-up to when he knocks her off, you can tell. So, like, after he gets that
they're
big
all
kind
climbing
of
up,
uppercut
right?
swing and hits her into whatever fire pit she was in or something like that, the scene then picks up with her climbing back up. You can see her helmet is broken. And then that's when, like, the other First Order troopers kind of surround them, and that's when he calls her out. He's like, look, you all think that I was the one who destroyed, that I was the one who sabotaged Starkiller Base, but really, the sabotager is right in front of you. She put in the codes that sabotaged the base, and she's the one who's the traitor.
Yeah, and they start getting antsy, and she blasts him real quick. And I do like that, he runs at her, chops her hand off, then blasts her into oblivion with a heavy blaster.
Yeah. So I thought that scene was really, really cool, and I thought, like, again...
That's another one he said. It was, they actually had to come back and do pickups to get the scene we got, and it was all pacing.
Yeah, it's all pacing. And then this is what a lot of people are pointing to now, like, if you guys out there have seen, like, Captain Phasma's not dead in Last Jedi... It's all coming from this because, like I said, this deleted scene picks up where the initial scene in the movie leaves off with her kind of falling through that flame-ridden pit or hole or whatever.
You just got to go by movie rules. We did not see her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just because the deleted scenes show it doesn't mean that is a part of continuity. So somehow in the other one, she managed to get out of the trash compactor before an entire planet blew up. Yeah, so maybe she makes it back into Episode 9. We'll see, but at this point, I don't know if Phasma is a character that JJ has a particular affinity towards. Like, if he would want to take that leap and say, like, okay, I'm bringing her back again, but I wouldn't care if she was in it again. I do kind of want to see a bit of an expanded role. Like, I know that Kylo is the one that is the leader of the First Order now, and he's the one that's hunting everybody, but I would really like to see her used as, like, a bloodhound or, like, some sort of, like, a serious military authority that's sent out to, like, hunt these people down if she is brought back. because that's what I think.
Who knows, dude? Really, Ryan rebooted the whole goddamn story. If you really think about it, so I mean, 9 could be whatever JJ wants. And that's the genius of Ryan's take on it. Love it or hate it, he left it to where JJ could essentially return to threads he may have thought of back when he was writing 7, 8, and 9. But he also made it to where JJ could continue where Ryan was going.
Yeah, and I think that's something that he said in particular is that he was glad that he wasn't forced to do anything. This is Ryan, that he wasn't forced to do anything with characters that he didn't want to for his story, and that he also feels like he left The Last Jedi open in a way where JJ can pick up and continue threads how he sees fit, which I think is very cool. And it's very right, too. It's correct. I mean,
the only thing he can't do without using flashbacks is bring back in the flesh Luke and in the flesh Snoke.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know what JJ's plans were, but I think that having Kylo as a primary villain is perfect. And if you wanted to bring Snoke back, it'd just be kind of weird. There's no point in it now. But Luke, I feel, this goes back to like what we were talking about with Trevorrow either last week or a couple of weeks ago, like him really having his entire story based around like in the flesh Luke and in the flesh Leia kind of, being the primary drivers. That's not possible. But we also know that Force ghosts and their abilities and, what they can do and how they can interact with people can be used in a very similar way. So, I mean, I don't know what to expect. I mean, I kind of do expect to see Luke again back in the flesh, but
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not either, though.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I wouldn't I want to see it, but I'm not expecting to. It's kind of the way
it'd be a nice little bonus, but I'm not expecting much. I mean, I think the focus is on the new 3 or the new 4.
Yeah, give me a Obi-Wan on Dagobah moment, something like that. Just a little thing. Just piece.
No, totally. I would take. I mean, really, I'd rather have an Obi-Wan on Dagobah Jedi style. That's what you're talking about. Sorry, yeah. Where you get a full-on scene with some key information being exchanged.
Yeah. I mean, if they give us like an Obi-Wan Hoth style thing where he's like, "You must go to Dagobah," I mean, I'll settle for it. I'll be happy to see it. But,
right, but it's a dick tease.
Yeah, I mean, come on, give us the whole thing where Force Ghost Obi sits down on the fucking log.
I mean, if fans were writing it, you have Force Ghost Luke come back and explain to Rey that her parents are Han and Leia. I mean, that's how we would write it.
That's exactly how I would write it. I have it written down already.
I wrote a damn piece. I mean, I remember we dedicated a podcast to me basically taking to the bank that Han and Leia were her parents. After I said there was no way, and I was like, "Nick, you're crazy." And then I finally bought into your theories, and I was like, "Yeah." And then the movie came out. I was like, "Well, I don't know shit."
We don't know shit. Neither of us.
There you go. Man.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to 9, and I'm definitely gonna take the time this weekend to watch the full documentary and really kind of take it in and appreciate all the work that was put in by all the actors, everybody who was on set, and everything like that. And yeah, man, I mean, like you said, well worth the money for this release. Fantastic extra content, all digital. 4K UHD, HDR if you have the equipment for it, like Matt said.
And Atmos. I mean, it even supports Atmos if you Vudu and if you got the right gear.
Yep. So, I mean, I
don't know how. And trust me, people, if you're out there, if you're still a disc buyer, I get it. I mean, this is new to me, but it's just they're making it so hard to not go digital these days because you're getting stuff 2 to 3 weeks before disc. You're getting it for usually $10 or more cheaper, and it's easier to maintain, especially with this Movies Anywhere partnership now. So, I don't know. I mean, it is tough, and everyone's going to come to their own decision. And I used to be like, well, if the internet ever goes down, at least I'll have my disc. You know what, people? If it gets to the point where we don't have internet stable enough to where we can watch our digital movies through the cloud, we're not going to be watching disc-based content either because shit's going to be really fucked up. So it really doesn't matter.
The world will be in shambles.
Yeah, I mean, so. If the internet is gone to the point where you're worried you're not going to be able to watch your streaming content, most of the world we know is gone too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just get all those discs out of your house.
I mean, also, just in terms of what a studio and a distributor would want, like, they have overhead with physical discs. I mean, it's probably not a lot, but it's still overhead.
I mean, I don't even know if I could say in the next 5 years, but maybe 10 years they go bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, what's the point? Like, what is it that Disney needs from a disc format? Like, we see now.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, we're on tangent here and we're wrapping up, but I like this little tangent. I honestly think they only do it because it's for the consumers. Like, there's still people out there that feel like they need the tangible product, so if they want to, they can resell it and get some money back.
Oh, yeah.
Like that to me, I think, is the only argument left between going digital and going traditional disc-based for games, movies, whatever. There's still that aftermarket. Well, and publishers are going to have to figure out, if they want to go full digital, how can they make these people feel like they're still getting some sort of aftermarket value on their digital purchase.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that's possible. I mean, I'm sure they'll squirrel a way in.
It's possible. It's just who's going to take that on. I mean, who's going to build the infrastructure to deal with transactions that are essentially me transferring my digital license to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all it would be. I mean, that's all discs are. They're just a physical license.
Yeah, and then what's like the value degradation of a digital transfer?
Right. I mean, I feel like you almost treat the same, maybe a steeper discount. Like, you know, if you trade in let's say you buy a digital game, because I think this argument is bigger for gamers than movie people, because I think movie people are probably going to be quicker and probably have more people that have gone all digital versus gamers, where I do think there's probably a large pocket that are still like, no, I want to go out on a midnight release and wait in line and get a disc instead of just sitting in my house and downloading the bitch early and playing it right at 12:01.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, man. I mean, you could use some of the same rules. Like, okay, if you return it within 2 to 3 weeks and it's a brand new AAA, you get $30, or you get 20, and then they'll resell a used. Yeah, see there, it all breaks on the used sell then.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
is like on
buying,
the used...
I mean, how do you mark something as a used code? Like, I guess you'd almost have to tie content to. You can only get this content if you buy a new code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you could make it linked to like DRM where, okay, so after the initial DRM code is distributed to the first buyer, then what would happen is, like, this is kind of bullshitting. I don't even know if this is real, but like you would have like the individual's DRM code that they would use for their purchase, and then you would have like the overall licensing code for whatever it is, but you could add other DRMs to that licensing code, but for a reduced price after the first purchase, maybe. So like first guy buys it for standard price, and then whenever he trades it in and then they go to sell used, the company, whoever, GameSpot, whatever the fuck, would have to buy a second DRM.
Yeah, I don't even think it works in a company. I think it would only a digital model would only work between friends, to where they would have to make it to where I could transfer my license to you on an agreed upon price.
Yeah, and then like it would.
Because I really like, we're both trying to jam this into the GameStop model, and I think it's impossible.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
there's
it is
really. I see no viable model of making money with a brick and mortar retailer exchanging digital codes between customers.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible
so
either.
Really, just going back to a way to get more people on there, I think that would be it, where I would get my digital copy, but there'd be a license that I could transfer, and I could still sell it to whoever I want for whatever price they're willing to pay.
Yeah.
But we couldn't go to stores anymore and buy a used code, if you will.
No, I don't think that would be possible. It's just like you said, the infrastructure is not there, and it doesn't make sense within the current business model. It'd be a completely new business model. So, And also, Disney just likes to stock the shelves of fucking Disney World and Disneyland with their movies. So if it's a physical copy, and they can put it on a shelf and put it outside of a ride.
There are people there that just like I collect, or I used to collect Pops, and I collect other toys now. But there are people that get their rocks off getting, Steelbook Blu-rays.
Yeah. I mean,
there's legitimately people that are like, yo, I need the Steelbook from Best Buy.
I mean, the shit looks cool. I mean, Steelbooks do look badass, but I mean, like, are you gonna pay $15 above retail for a fucking Steelbook? Like, it seems
I
much.
would have. I mean, back in the day, I just, I just got here. I've uploaded everything to Plex. I'm digital from here on out. I do not see myself. Now, I mean, Star Wars is always a special excuse. It gets privileges over everything else in life. So if there is the Last Jedi Super Duper Collector's Edition with a pack-in, like, a dog chain that says Ryan Johnson on it with a port stamped on it, I'll probably buy that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if they have the previous or the next release after this one, not previous, that has some cool shit in it, then yeah, I'll get it. Of course, like you said, Star Wars is Star Wars, man. It's not like I'm not gonna go out and buy like some random movie, fucking whatever, 3 billboards or some bullshit.
Yeah, no, I'm
DVD,
done with that. I mean, I'm done with it, and I never bought a movie of that nature on disc. I would just wait for a sale on iTunes, because I like all movies. I'm not saying I hate movies like that. I love movies like that, but I would never buy one on disc. But I used to. I mean, if it was a sci-fi movie or something I liked, for sure. I mean, I have a ton of fucking Blu-rays.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point in time, I ripped them all to digital, and I had 16 terabytes worth. And that's when I was like, dude, you own over half of these already in digital form. Why the fuck do you need all this on disc? So I figured out which ones I didn't have on digital already, which ones blah, blah, blah. And I still have a large Plex library, but I had a lot of discs, and now I'm just trying to get rid of them. So that's your little disc to digital 101 with Matt and Nick. That's a little new Star Wars time special segment, if you will.
Yep.
We'll give you some geek life lessons here, some geek business life lessons, if you will, because we are learned men. All right, my friends, so that's our thoughts on the Last Jedi home release. I mean, really what we said is going to apply to the Blu-ray release, because outside of maybe a knick-knacky tacked-on featurette for a retailer here or there, you're getting pretty much the full shoot and match with the digital release of The Last Jedi. So highly recommend getting on Vudu and then having your accounts linked through Movies Anywhere. That way you're going to get the 4K UHD version. Costs $20. Great value. Tons of content. Plus it's a great film and it looks great in 4K. So we will talk again when the twin suns of Tatooine set. Until then, may the Force be with you, always.